Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, and I am joined by some of my merry cohorts. We have directly behind me the teacher of the Kirby variety.
Howdy, folks! How's it going out there in Twitch and YouTube land?
And directly behind me and immediately off to my right, we have the second in command of the ship, Artie.
Hello.
So, we've got a few little things to get through for you guys this week, including something we have not been able to do for a while, but y'all will get to see that in a little bit. But, diving into it, for our first article we have the patch notes for the 18th, and there's not really that many of them. Most of them are bug fixes and everything, quality of life fixes and everything. We have resolved an issue where many PvE queues were not scaling correctly, so that's something that you know, a lot of people had been complaining about, myself included. Then resolved an issue where players level 61 and above could not participate in PvP matches.
I will say that that was the funniest thing I saw during this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just like, I'm going to try out all this new stuff and blow up these younger guys, these lower level guys. Haha! What do you mean I can't pick a fight with them?
It sure spawned a lot of QQ, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
And now, on a fun note, we can properly initiate the new guy to my fleet and everything, since the PvP matches are back. But the next big thing we have is resolved an issue where some Gem Hunter captains received an invalid skill tree warning and could not respec skills. Resolved an issue that was blocking progression for the episode Doomsday device for Gem Hadar captains. Resolved an issue which was blocking Gem Hadar captains, or some of them, from being able to play Terminal Expanse or being able to access the Once and Future Agent. Then resolved an issue that caused Cream Soda to not be available in the Replicator, and Ketracel White to not be purchasable in the Replicator for Gem Hadar, which is a very big deal.
Just funny. Sorry.
Which I did figure out the ironic thing was if you had the Dathan Doff that you got from Facility 4028, that it would work.
Oh yeah.
You could replicate it. For some odd reason, I don't know why that was. But resolved an issue where Gem Hadar captains could not summon security officers if all bridge officers had been dismissed. Change only applied for newly created Gem Hadar captains. Added the marauding KDF duty officer category to the checked categories of the Gamma Recruit DOF assignments task. Resolved issue where the ground Ferenginar plasma proc was not being triggered. Resolved an issue where the player would be put into combat when the Ferengi ground yielding feint was running while the player used a stem pack. Yeah, try saying that 20 times fast.
Yeah.
Resolved an issue where character names would not display properly in chat when playing as another character, like in Quark's Lucky 7. And then, of course, the issues they have down there: Romulan players cannot progress past the mission Tradecraft, and Gem Hadar captains fighting for the KDF are being given Federation DOFs with the reward from hitting Tier 5 in the Gamma Recruit Crafting Level 5 task. So yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, anything in particular stick out to you guys?
No, not. It's covered everything. That's
you
basically
covered it all, yeah.
I mean, I'm happy that the Ferenginar plasma proc is now working as intended. So, yeah, I got to test that out a little bit ago. Pretty fun stuff.
But, anyways, we will have this in the description for you guys when the local recording goes up later on. So you can check out the patch notes for this week and whatnot. But, coming up on our next article is one of those wonderful times of year again We have a lifetime subscription sale.
Yes. So, from June 21st until June 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, the lifetime subscription is on sale for $199.99. So it's the perfect time to pick up that lifetime subscription for PC players. And you get all the rewards, all the veteran unlocks are unlocked immediately. You get access to the veteran ships. You get access to the veteran dilithium refiner, as well as a 500 Zen monthly stipend, and many other things.
Which they do have a link in the notes so you can check out, or in their blog, so you can see what exactly you'll be getting as far as the total amount of rewards, some titles, some ships, Android Bridge Officer, a lot of very nice stuff actually.
Yes.
And it is, if you plan to stick around in the game for a while, it is well worth it. Just the ships alone that they give you came out to, once we did the math, what did we say that come out to? About $120?
I think
something
so,
close to
something
that.
like
Thereabout,
that.
yeah.
So about $120. And if you total up everything that you actually do get, it more than pays for itself.
Right, because
Very easily.
you also get a Captain Retrain token every time you hit a 10 level upgrade, as well as a free tier 5 ship when you reach level 40, 50? Level 50? Anyway, yeah.
Level 50,
And
I think.
yeah, I mean, so just that adds more value. Plus, you get extra bank space, extra inventory space. You get the account bank unlock. You get the EC cap removed. You know, all of that's included in that as well. So if you haven't unlocked those already, you know, then that's going to unlock with that. And you can, even if you've unlocked the Elite Starter Pack that's in the C-Store for 1,500 Zen, the extra bank inventory and whatnot, all of that, will stack on top of that. On top of the, you know, so you can, basically, you still get the extra space.
Yeah, that's, like I said, you're getting quite a bit of bang for your buck here. But, yeah. This is one of those times of the year that we highly recommend the lifetime subscription. The $200 is very, very cheap for everything that you get. And it'll last until one day, many years from now. Hopefully the game finally shuts its doors. But
and don't forget the 500 Zen a month, man.
Oh yeah, I was about to mention that.
Which builds up too. But anyways, moving right along, we have our next big thing going on for a little while longer, which is our Key Ring bundle on PC.
Oh yeah, it's that time of year again where just Perfect World just knows how to empty my wallet. In this special pack, you get 20 keys for the price of 2,250 Zen, and along with this, you also get a very special promotional ultimate tech upgrade, which, given to whatever item that you want upgraded, takes it straight to Mark 15 Epic. So it doesn't cost any dilithium, it doesn't require anything from like a special upgrade weekend, because it just takes it straight to the high-end stuff. And it's a really great item just to get that one ground weapon, or maybe you need that phaser or something just upgraded real quick, make it better than everything else. Perfect chance to do that. And along with that, 20 keys to open up with those new lock boxes. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Get that curling here, doff.
Already done.
Or boff. Yep.
But yeah.
Not gonna lie, I just want that buff to stick.
I
know,
will confirm
right?
that it does not, and it also does not dab.
Aw.
It does.
Sad
It is a
face.
pretty good tank, though. It does go out into the middle of battle, in the middle of the battlefield, and does not die. I swear, I'm seeing new
Right.
items pop up like donut
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
But one thing we do like to mention, really quickly with this is, I know myself and Kirby especially like to mention this, is with this ultimate tech upgrade and whatnot, we do not recommend using this on something that you know you're not going to keep, or that you're not going to use a lot due to how you have to acquire these upgrades. So if it's something you know that you're going to hang on to, like maybe a piece of reputation gear or something, use it on something like that where you know what you're going to get, or to where you may not have to invest a butt ton of resources to get it to where you want it to be. So that is one little caveat we do like to mention and everything, but yeah. So if you're planning on buying at least 20 keys anyway, buy yourself one of these and get that extra little tech upgrade, which is a pretty hefty value actually for the tech upgrade. And just to pick at a certain viewer out there, I have Hershey Kisses.
You know, one of these days you're just gonna get your mic all gooped up with chocolate.
I know, right?
Well, that's why the mic sits like 2 feet in front of me and
Oh.
everything. And whatnot, that way I don't have to worry about getting it dirty or anything. But, anyways, coming up on our last article of the evening, we have the winners of the Propaganda Poster Contest. It says, last month we asked you to submit your designs for a propaganda poster for your favorite faction, the Federation, the Klingons, the Romulans, and the Dominion. And you sent us some fantastic work, really, truly incredible pieces across the board. It says, we've gone through them with some of Star Trek Online's artists, and the winner will receive a signed copy of their poster design straight from Cryptic. There were so many amazing entries we couldn't show off just one, so we're highlighting one from each faction and one overall winner with further ado. Then for the Romulan Empire we have Morishita, and I probably, if I butcher anybody's name, I apologize in advance. So there's our Romulan one. For the Federation, we have Joshua Inglima. Do you have what it takes to wear the uniform? Contact your local Starfleet recruitment office today. And then representing the Dominion, Louis Jasgon. I probably killed that name, so my bad, dude. The galaxy needs soldiers. Join the Dominion today. And then the grand prize winner is Resdane, or words, name. Yep. So that person with the name, you know, right there, like right
I
there.
would pronounce
just saying.
that Resdane.
Thank you. So, now that I've managed to, fail English again, yeah. Thoughts on this, guys?
Just beautiful, because I feel like, on the RP's perspective, this makes you feel much in tune with the faction. Like, for the Romulans, yeah, you get the big Romulan logo, and then out from the shadow and the cloaky, gaseous thing, you got a giant warbird just coming into view. Very Romulan right there. For the Federation, boom, you got, you know, do you have what it takes to wear that uniform? Do you? Show us that it can be done. You got that feel there. The Jem'Hadar, I mean, the Dominion, yeah, they just breed their soldiers. Why have a recruitment poster? Bye, mess. And then the Klingon, come on, you got insurmountable odds. You got 4 Klingon ships against all that. We got this. You need some more soldiers up there to man those 4 vessels. Come on, let's do it. Let's get your blood pumping when you see these, kinda, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But great job to everyone who entered, and congratulations to the winners.
Yep. But definitely a congratulations to those guys and whatnot. So, I'll have this in the description so you guys can check out everything, whatnot, and see the work that they put into everything. But coming up on our next segment of the evening and whatnot, this is normally where we would feature the budget build and everything. We're taking a 1-week sabbatical from the budget build and everything. We'll have another budget build for you guys this next week and everything. So in the meantime, let us know if you have any requests for a budget build and everything. We do things at all levels of budget, more bare bones, somewhere in the middle, maybe a higher end type of budget. And, you know, if you want to be a space wizard, a DPS, or a tank, you know, we'll help you out in that area too. But with that said, we have a piloting submission, and that is what we're going to go over for you guys this evening. We've not been able to do one of these in a while due to lack of submissions, but a good player out there, or a player friend of ours, actually submitted a video of their flying for us. We're going to take a look at one of the runs that they did, and we're going to break it down and see what we can't do to help them improve their DPS. Let me get my notes pulled up a little here. Alright. So, go ahead into full screen here. This was actually taken during a couple of test runs not too long ago. But you guys got your videos pulled up ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll start this up at about 42 seconds in. Alright, then coming to about 55 seconds, we'll go ahead and pause here. This brings us to the first note that we wanted to mention. And that is that at this particular point, you can see everybody else has actually started charging their BOF powers. They've got everything ready to go. They hit their impulse engines to get that initial speed boost to get into position. And our player here, unfortunately, does not do that. And in doing so, they lose quite a bit of time in terms of getting to shoot at the enemy here. Comments, Kirby, for this first little
I think you
here?
pretty much summed it up. One of the key things, especially with, you know, is that beginning is getting in there where you need to be so that you can get that good start, and kind of sets the tone for the whole match there.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the big things I would mention here is I actually let the tape run for a couple of seconds to show something there. One of the big things that I did see here is that for this initial burst and everything, this is one of the big things to get your DPS started in a run like this, is you want to first make sure you get that speed boost, whether it be from actually a full impulse, or whether it be from a full impulse that you're able to execute outside of combat, whether it be evasive maneuvers, emergency to engines, or any similar power. You want to make sure you're able to get in there so you can participate in this first little bit and get some numbers going. Now, one of the things that I personally would actually recommend here at this point is on this initial burst at least, I would recommend that the player here perhaps consider doing or using the standard Shift R key binding with the game to get their first burst. That way they can concentrate on activating their powers. That's going to save them, you know, those precious few seconds, letting them get even more damage out to their foes.
And if Shift R is cumbersome for you, you can actually reprogram that to whatever key you like. Mine, for example, is just my left shift key. I hit that and boom, full impulse. Yeah.
Yep. But, anyways, let's go ahead and let the tape run for a few more seconds. Alright, so I'm going to stop at about 110 for a moment. Now, one of the big things here that we see is that here at this point, the cubes have died, the cube has died, the spheres have died. It's now time to move on to the first transformer, to this first area. And one of the big things that we're seeing here is that the player needs to get over there really quickly, but they're trying to wait on combat to drop so they can use their full impulse.
Right.
That's not a good idea because that takes quite a bit of time, and that's less time in combat, therefore less damage
right.
coming out. And it's better...
The thing to remember with DPS, and a lot of people forget this, they look at it as, oh, it's the amount of damage I'm doing, it's the amount of damage I'm doing. Yes, but it's the amount of damage per second. So every second that you are not shooting at something, that is lowering your DPS. Okay? So you gotta keep to where you're, that's why positioning is so important. Like you'll notice Scotty over here, right under our player's ship, if you look just to the right of that, Scotty over there has positioned, that player's positioned themselves so that they are shooting the gate as they're moving towards the transformer. You see what I'm saying? So that damage isn't falling off and then have to regain, you know what I mean? So they're keeping that momentum going. But if this were me, I would have by now, as soon as actually I saw that last sphere with just a sliver of health, I would have hit my evasive maneuvers to hightail it over towards that transformer.
Indeed. And if we actually look at, even if, you're trying to be a tank or something as well, like I say, in my case, you can see with Cruise N there, is that, I'd actually moved towards it and everything, kind of positioning myself to where I could smack the cube, I could smack the transformer, and putting myself in a position to where I could come back around and smack the spheres later on. In the case of Scotty and everything, you can see the idea here is Scotty's not going to damage the gate, no, but that's going to, by taking a few pot shots at it, allow combat to keep going. That's going to allow the character to stay in combat, and that's going to keep it from falling off as much. Now, one potential something, and this would be a personal preference in this case, this isn't necessarily something you would have to do, is if survival's not an issue for this particular ship, and we see one of the powers that they have is emergency to shields, if they think they could survive without emergency to shields, one option they do have here is they could consider swapping emergency to shields to emergency to engines. That's going to give them some power into their engines, going to give them a little bit of a speed boost that they could potentially utilize while evasive maneuvers is down, and to help them to get into position in case perhaps maybe they wanted to save evasive for later. But that's one of the big things we did want to mention here. Let the tape run a little bit longer. And you can see on the tape that by waiting to click, just how much time was actually lost here. Now we are at, you can see it's mostly normal until we get to about, I'm going to pause at 140.
Okay. We did make a note about his position at 1 minute 21 seconds. Because I noted as we were watching, I don't know if you want to back it up real quick. So that they can see that. but I noted that the positioning at that time was way too high. So if you actually look, this player has a gravity well and a destabilizing resonance beam. They're positioned so that they're pretty much, and I know it's kind of hard to see it at this angle, but they're pretty much level with the top of the gate here at this point. And there, if you look to the right-hand side of the screen, right near where his hangar bays are, you see there's a number of all the spheres that spawned from those generators going down are there, but they're like 17 kilometers away. That's partly because he's so high up. Now, had he been lower down and put himself about midway between the transformer and the gate, he would have been able to do a quick turn, grab well those spheres, put the destabilizing resonance beam on the whole group and just get them all debuffed and held there, and then still been in range of the transformer to help bring that down.
Indeed. And the big thing as well, like I say, although he was able to get some shots in, he could have done better control, which could have helped the group and him as a whole. And in doing so, he missed out on a lot of damage potential here. And
the other thing I wanted to note is that even at this point, okay, you're out of position, you know it, you could still salvage a little something at least by putting the destabilizing resonance beam on the transformer, because that's going to debuff everything in the area.
Yep. And even if DRB didn't hit the generators and everything, it's still going to hit everything. It could probably grab both of those two spheres there as well. At that point, it would be right on the tip edge, so that, I mean, it could be argued either way because of, you know, how far the spheres are away from it. But still, it's extra damage and everything, even if you didn't want to throw a grav well at this point. But anyways, moving to our 141, let me actually... Alright, now getting into the positioning thing, this is where this is going to start coming together, like Kirby was talking about. Now you can see here at about 140, the ship is actually facing away from the gate. That would mean, like Kirby was mentioning, he would have to do a long sweeping arc to come back around, and that's going to cost him time that he can't really afford to lose. And this gets into, actually, the next couple of notes that we had written down here.
Now, I did notice, and I paused mine a little early because I was trying to catch it, but I noticed he started that turn that got him to where his rear was facing the gate. He started that turn at 1 minute 35 seconds. At that point, had he turned right instead of left, he still would have been in range of the transformer for the duration, for the rest of the time that it was alive. But then he also would have been heading in the correct direction. Had he turned right, he would have been heading towards the gate instead of turning left like he did. So yeah.
Yep. And the big thing we're going to see here is that it's going to start at 143. And as we can see here, you can see the arc where he's turning around here, trying to turn around. You can see he's actually dropped combat at this point. He really only gets 1 or 2 shots in at these spheres because he's out of position. And you can see here, I'm actually going to pause at 204 for just a second. And you can see he's heading kind of at a diagonal type of angle. Kind of like diagonal and up. So he's climbing higher on the map and flying a little bit farther out away from the gate and by extension the transformer. So this is where his positioning starts to fall off again. Everything. And at this point he's already lost a lot of time. This is about 20 seconds of combat time that's been lost that could have been used, and he actually does not get to take advantage of the torpedo spread, I don't believe, here that he had queued up earlier because he was out of position.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and...
There's also, and through that entire pass-through, there's very little shots fired. There's very little even to shoot at because of the time it took to get there, because of that left-hand turn at 1 minute 35 seconds when that transformer was almost dead and he turned away from the gate instead of towards it. So, yeah.
And I paused at 212 for just a second to show people what we're talking about. Is if you look at the nanite transformer there, you can see that's, what is that, about 13.9?
I think so.
Kilometers? So about roughly 13.9 kilometers away. So because he's out of position at this point, he's 3 kilometers out of the way, and his evasive maneuvers is down at this point. He doesn't have another speed boosting effect that he can call on at this point. So he's out of position with no way to really get back there to where he needs to be, and that's costing him precious time that he could be throwing out shots and getting out some extra damage. So let's roll to 220. And you can see here that it's not until about 222 that he's actually in position to where he can fire another shot. So keep in mind, that's from 143 to 220 is about roughly 40 seconds of downtime that he's had where he's not gotten to fire a shot. And in a run like this, that's a huge deal. That's almost 1/3 of the entire run that nothing's been going on.
Yep, exactly. And that drops your DPS like a stone. Plus, I mean, if you're not shooting at anything, you're not helping things die. You know, just put that out there. You got to be shooting at things to be helping them die. So.
But yeah, like I say, with the positioning being as far off as it was here, this is a lot of damage potential that's lost. Had the positioning been on point, or a little more on point, and everything like Kirby was mentioning, salvaging it earlier, a gravity well could have perhaps been tossed on the couple of surviving spears, pick up a little bit of something there, and everything. And at this point, even, you know, the player could have thrown out their destabilized resonance here at this point.
On the transformer.
Throw that on the transformer, get a little bit of extra stuff and everything, and they could have picked up some extra damage here.
Yes. Now he does, if you fast forward to 234, he does swing around. Now he makes a turn to the right and swings around, which kind of takes him away from the transformer again. Had he turned left, he could have swung around and stayed in range of the transformer. But he did turn and did grab well the spears, put on his grab well and DRB. So he did at least get one grab well off, which was good.
Yep. It's good. It did delay the spears, which is what we wanted to do. And you can see there at about 255, the transformer actually blows and everything. Now coming up to... You can see he starts moving towards the cube, more so to the gateway and everything. Now at about 3:14 here, you can see he's kind of moving towards the gate. He's moved actually quite a bit farther towards the gate than he needs to be at this point. And the big thing here is that he's moving himself out of range of several possible targets at this point. And everything. He's moving himself away from, you can see at this point, if you look towards the left side of the screen a little bit, you can see there's actually a surviving sphere there that he could potentially pick up a little bit of damage on. Now he did get a couple of shots at it, but not nearly as many as he could have otherwise.
And then if you watch...
And the same thing with the cube
but
here.
then we do notice that if you watch, or we did note if you watch it, he actually purposely moves. Once he sees he was shooting at it, it seems he purposely moves out of range and back so that he's only shooting at the gate. Which, which
Pause that
big
at
no-no.
Yep. So about 324, you can see he's actually backing up at this point. And if you're looking to single target something, I mean, you could argue this, but if you're wanting to do just general in-your-face damage, this is missed opportunities that he could have here. This is damage potential going out. There's still a little bit of health left on the sphere and everything. There's still a good chunk left on the cube. And there's still a half-decent chunk on the gateway. So if he had positioned more towards the middle of the group, maybe just a hair back so he could get some shots in on the sphere, then he could have had the best of both worlds at this point. You're picking up damage on the tactical cube, you're picking up damage on the sphere, you're picking up damage on the gateway.
Exactly. Get all of those targets in range and just let your fire at will do its work. That's what it's there for. And he does have the 2 copies of fire at will, so there's no reason not to. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then,
So we'll let this roll just a little bit more. And you can kind of see here he's backing up at this point. He does execute his attack pattern alpha towards the end there. And everything. You can see at this point, by the time we're at about 336, he's moved out of range and everything away from the team. And you can see the cube actually blows up at this point. And you can see there was actually a death at 349 roughly and everything. Death is going to happen at some point. So not really much we can say about that and everything. You can see actually there was a couple of us that died in this run. A couple of people. But
it happens.
Yeah.
You die, respawn as soon as you can, and when you do respawn, start flying as soon as you're able and hit that fire button as soon as something's in range so you start picking up your damage again and mitigate that as much as possible. But
because
so we've gone through all our time notes. There were a couple things I did notice. Attack pattern alpha, for example, was not used until the very end. So I would have used that back at back around the first transformer, about 120, right around there. If it had been me, I would have used it then, because that's when you really need it. You want to either A, get those spheres dead before they get to the transformer, or B, get the transformer down as soon as possible, and that damage spike is really going to help to do that with your attack pattern alpha. He also has intelligence fleet, never used it, and I don't think he really had an opportunity to use a go down fighting, but I noticed that wasn't used either. And there were a few times when some of his abilities had come off of cooldown and had not been reactivated. Like Fire at Will and Attack Pattern Beta, you want those activated every time they're available.
Yeah. So, like I say, that's some of the stuff that we did see. And we'll have this, we'll give this to him as far as notes and everything, so he can kind of see what we're talking about. And as he watches this later on, once this goes up and everything, you can kind of see what we're going for here. With a little bit better positioning, a little bit better power management, he's going to pick up quite a bit more damage than what he's got now.
Yeah. The potential is there. It's just there's a lot of, like we said, there was a lot of positioning places that we noticed that just really hurt him as far as being able to deal damage.
Yep. But, like I say, that's the really major stuff that we've seen. It's just, the positioning, the power management, and everything. And I like to tell people, in game and whatnot, it's about 20% what you've got, gear, ship, setup, that kind of stuff. The other 80% is on the piloting. And with just these few changes, he's going to see quite a bit of improvement in these areas. But that's what we have this evening for our piloting review of this particular thing. But hopefully our player out there has found this informative. Hopefully this gives him some ideas of where he can improve on and everything.
And hopefully it gives other
ahead.
viewers watching, they might see themselves in some of this going, oh yeah, I do that. Really? I didn't know that was hurting me, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yep. It sounds a lot more complicated and complex than what it actually is, and we're making it sound, I'm sure. But
at least it was flashy.
Yeah, I guess it was that. I guess there was a lot of big booms and explosions on this particular one. But anyways, that's what we have for our ship review and everything this evening, and our piloting review, I should say. But moving along to our next segment of the evening, we have the Teacher's Corner.
Yes.
What have you got for us this week, Teacher?
I did this week using the Admiralty for dilithium farming. So, our favorite ship system can be used quite effectively to farm dilithium. It's actually pretty simple, and it can actually help you pretty much max out your dilithium for a number of days with just spending about 2 minutes a day on it. Once you get it going, you can almost keep your dilithium at your 8K maximum a day for a good long time once you get it once you get that flow going with it. So I go over how to do that, what to look for, what assignments to look for, and yeah. Questions, comments?
Helpful as always.
And
I
did make sure that I used my free-to-play account that only has 20 ships on it to show that you do not need 100 ships in order to be doing this. And that it's quite easy to, and I talked through exactly what I do and all of that.
Yeah. Definitely informative as always, and a good way to pick up some extra dill.
Yes.
But we'll have that in the description for you guys, so you can check that out if you've ever been curious about Admiralty and how to pick up some extra dilithium. Well, this is for you then. Coming up on the final segment for the evening, we have the RP Corner with Artie. And what have you got for us this week?
This was actually requested by a friend of mine that was wondering, hey, so in roleplay combat, we always use standard equipment, and sometimes it's just not giving us the same kick as what we want to see, like using in-game technology and weapons and whatnot. So he gave me the idea of talking about how to properly upgrade your standard weapons and so on into, what you would see more in-game. These badasses running around with these heavy armors and giant guns and whatnot, you know what I mean? So it was a bit of a tug back and forth trying to make a simple version of it, trying to explain how the pros and cons for each weapon would basically work out. And what I've come to figure out is that it first starts out depending on what category your weapon is. Pistol, rifle, what I've dubbed as heavies being the miniguns, the blast cannons, that sort of thing. And then your uniques, which would be melee weapons or anything far larger than your blast cannon or minigun, like the Bullion, even though it is a heavy cannon in its own. But the way that it was bent out from that is that each weapon could be upgraded in all sorts of different sense, even in modern day, because you can have the same 5 pistols and you can have 5 different attachments to it. You can have one that has a flashlight to it, one that has a grenade launcher at the bottom of your pistol. No, at the bottom of your rifle. That sort of idea. So I've made a few examples to try to further explain the pros and cons idea of not metagaming your weapon to super superiority like you would see in game, and keeping it somewhat balanced so you don't have to do some major number crunching dice rolls. Easy enough, starting out with example 1. Take a standard phaser rifle. It could be a beam, it could be one of the pulse ones, doesn't matter. But with this rifle, say you have a underbarrel Phaser Pulsewave attachment, like it's your basically your shotgun underbarrel gun, and then on top of that you have a long-range holographic scope just for the hell of it. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a good fit for both of the things, but put it into perspective. When you're at far range, that scope is going to help you be a little bit more accurate in targeting and whatnot, realistically anyway. And it won't be very helpful when you're in close quarters, but that's where that pulse wave comes in. So that puts a simpler idea of upgrades work in certain situations. They may not always coincide. And along with this, you're not totally inhibited by carrying another gun, say just a full-on another shotgun. Just having the small attachment works out, and then you can save that space for a secondary pistol or a barrel of grenades. Who knows? Moving on to the second example I've made is actually the Bullion heavy cannon with in-game terms. They put a little bit of explanation to it. It's frickin' heavy. Although we see it in-game a lot of just, oh yeah, our character just can swing it around willy-nilly. Well, unless your character has some sort of super strength, or is an android of some sort, or some superhuman of whatever, that's a very heavy cannon meant for small craft and vehicles and whatnot. That's an anti-ship weapon. You're not supposed to be carrying that around on a normal day. But let's say you are, and you're one of these guys that doesn't have these superpowers of super strength. So what do you do to, lug it around? You have a grav lift basically attached to the bottom of it, making it like a little hover transport now with this just giant gun on it. Although I'm not saying that you just get this giant cargo lift tray, you're just standing on it and just shooting things. No, it's like a very small miniaturized one. It's a roleplay. You figure out a simple way of making a way around it. You can just attach the grav lift straight to the bottom of it, I guess. Depends on how you want to run it. But the other idea is, that's a very heavy, blast that it would fire. And along with, dexterity and the super strength and whatnot, it may blow your arms off just firing it once. So you may need something to help you steady yourself when you're firing that thing. So maybe a tripod attachment just attached to the bottom before you fire, just set it down, and now you have yourself a little Gatling nest. So that would balance it out. The other thing is that since it's a very large weapon, and with these other attachments, you're going to be kind of slow lugging it around, although now it's easier to lug it around. But now dumbing back a little bit with example 3, take any sort of blast cannon, phaser, disruptor, doesn't matter the energy type for this one. But it's just a blast cannon, just charge up, fire the big pulse of energy at an enemy. Now add a torpedo system to the side of it. It fires, the little, as you see in game, the little photon torpedo launcher from your arm, or the chronoton spread, whatnot, that you see some people use. But for roleplay services, you're not going to carry an arm launcher. You're going to attach it to the side of your gun, unless you are some sort of battle mech, which would be pretty awesome. But I digress. You have this blast cannon. You attach an ordnance system to the side of it to launch these torpedoes, or basically be a very advanced mortar. They'll fire grenades downrange. Then you also add a better computer targeting system to the side of it, and a battery. A secondary battery, just because. Well, it's not exactly just because. Since this is a very assault-like loadout that you won't see, oh, I gotta go take some prisoners? Nah, that's not this kind of weapon. This is the weapon that, you're meant to blow open doors. You see 20 guys coming down the corridor and you're the only guy there. You're taking out those 20 guys some way, shape, or how. So, since blast cannons are quite smaller and are actually meant to be carried by personnel, these, don't need super heavy grav lifts and whatnot, but due to the extra munitions attached to it, it may be slightly heavier, so you may be slowed down just as well. At least roleplay services anyway. And along with this, since it's a modified system, it may take a little bit more to recharge or reload the weapons on it. So that's your getting more into the con territory for all this heavy firepower. The bonus to this is that you may have that battery strapped in, and boom, now your blast cannon now has an extra oomph to take down 20 more guys, and it may recharge your weapon faster, or who knows what that battery can do. It may just be an extra shield boost or something. But along with that, you could also say that with all this ordnance, it's not just an anti-personnel weapon anymore. This is anti-armor, anti-vehicle. You might as well start shooting down shuttles. For example, there was a mission in the Romulan arc in-game that you had to shoot down a Scorpion fighter in a combat zone. That's the funniest thing, because I could take my little rinky-dinky standard phaser, shoot it down, no issue, and watch it still crash into a building 7 blocks away. What? I just shot it down with small arms fire. That thing most likely has some heavy-duty shields, go toe-to-toe with other small craft, other combat fighters, whatnot. That thing also has some heavy armor. My little tiny pistol is not going to do anything to that. Now, a giant artillery piece that's loaded up with micro-torpedoes and a heavy hitter blast of energy may do a little bit more damage, to the point where you might as well have a missile lock on and you just shoot it from the sky before it gets anywhere near you. So that's the idea of it may be heavy, it may slow you down, it may have terrible reload and recharge time, but you can do those one-hitters very well. Now, getting more into the RP aspect of these examples may not work for every situation, that's kind of the point. You may not always have a weapon that you can just switch out on the fly, because say you're on a mission, it may go on for multiple days. You don't carry every modification with you. Oh, I need a grenade launcher, so I just replace it. But now where do I put this one? Do I just stuff it back in my pocket? Oh, now I need my blast wave underbarrel attachment back, so I have to switch it out again. You're going to take too much time trying to put it all together. So, role-playing it out, you may have the chance of actually making this well-rounded weapon. There will still probably be drawbacks to it, but that's for you guys to find out. It's part of the game, if you will. So, there's that. Thoughts?
Sounds very interesting. I like my bullying cannon, though.
It's a really good cannon, don't get me wrong, but we're not all swinging it around one-handed.
But...
Or Data.
Or Data.
Yeah.
Data could do that, yeah.
Yeah, Data could do that. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely a lot more to it than what I thought there would be,
Yeah,
in all honesty.
Not many people put that much thought into it, but putting this thought into it, you also get the bonuses here and there that could probably help you out in those sticky situations. Like, you get surrounded in a small corridor, and there's now 5 guys coming out of nowhere. Yeah, that cannon could do pretty well, but if there's 2 guys behind you, you're not going to be able to turn that giant cannon around real quick to shoot those 2 guys. So you're going to have some sort of backup. So, that's the pros and cons with it.
Makes quite a bit of sense when you explain it like that.
But I'm not finished yet. I got one actual thing to add to my section today, which doesn't portray to the same subject.
Okay.
I'm actually doing a little bit of a roleplay fleet advertisement. A fleet came to me and was like, "Hey, we're needing we're doing some more recruitment. We're wondering if we can put a ad on your podcast." So this fleet is known as the Outpost Zeta. I'll just read out the ad that was given to me so I could, so you guys could probably get a little snag into it. Looking for a place to roleplay but can't find anything? Want something that's close to the action and with the current STO story but not entirely dependent on it? Diplomacy, sciences, and exploration, as well as getting down and dirty with combat? Then join the fleet Outpost Zeta. Outpost Zeta is a Starfleet patrol station just off the way from DS9. And in the thick of it with the Cardassian Union, the leftover renegades of the True Way, the Dominion, and now the massive force called the Herc. Here, the fleet is focused on lower ranked characters, getting the new officers wet behind the ears when facing the unknowns. They're sectioned up with multiple different starships and starbase crew members to join with their plenty character positions to choose from. Perhaps your character is a new ensign just waiting to see what the universe has in store for them. Or maybe your character is an old veteran from the many conflicts in recent history, but may have a trouble record that held you back. You know, there's always bound to be a place for you. Enlist now, and then there's the link at the bottom of our notes. But yeah, there's a roleplay fleet that's looking for ripe young players that want an RP zone. There you go.
There you go. So if you weren't sure where to go to, now you have the name of a fleet that's looking for players.
Yeah. Let's definitely be sure to check those guys out and whatnot. But anyways, we will have everything in the description for you guys, so you can get some ideas about role-playing with your weapons and whatnot, how to upgrade them. I'm probably going to take some notes down out of that myself for this, but yeah, anyways, that's our final segment of the evening, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the show this evening. Glad to actually get to review a ship for once. We've not been able to do that for quite a while, actually. But
getting back to pilot review show
anyways,
roots, man.
Yep, get them roots going, man. But anyways, like I say, I hope you guys enjoyed the show and whatnot and everything. Thank you for tuning in this week as always. Before we head out, shout out to our good friends over at the Temporal Armada. A very cool bunch of people. Be sure to check them out in their program as well. Another shout out to our good friends over at the Kurtang Pirate Radio. The party is there, and they always have really good music too. Anytime I've tuned in. And a variety too, I should mention that. But, yeah. Anyways, if you guys have requests for the budget builds corner, I know we didn't do one this week, but we will have another one this next week for you guys and whatnot. If you have a request for a budget build, please let us know. We accept budgets of all varieties and sizes and everything. Maybe you're looking for more of a bare bones type of thing. You don't really have a lot of resources to invest. We work with that. Maybe if you got a little bit of something put back, you want to put it into a ship, you're just not really sure how to go about it, we help in that area. Or maybe you're a more established player that has a lot of resources you're willing to dump into things, and you're looking for more of a high-end budget, then we can help you out in that area too. Just let us know what ship you're wanting to do, what kind of a budget you've got, and let us know as well, are you wanting to be a space wizard, are you wanting pure damage, are you wanting a tank, or what your goal is for the ship, and see if we can help you out. If you have, if you think your ship and your gear are in order, but maybe it's just your piloting that needs a little bit of extra work and everything, as you saw this evening, we do take requests for that. After all, we are the Pilot Review Show. Just submit a little video of yourself flying so we can see how your piloting works and everything, and we can offer tips and whatnot to help you improve from there. Everything, feel free to submit it to us, on YouTube, or give us a link to it on a Dropbox or something, however you can get it to us, whatever's easiest for you, and we'll help you out in that department. If you got any bugs, feel free to let us know and whatnot. I've been trying to keep up with things as much as I can. There's been far too many to name. Some of them I'm not really going to talk about on camera because of reasons, but yeah. Needless to say, I broke it. I broke it bad. That's all you need to know.
But I know there are some things that I've submitted to you recently, like the
yep.
like the Jem'Hadar Vanguard ships, not following with the player on certain map moves, like in the episode Sunrise, for example. When you're moved to another area on the map, the Vanguard pets won't follow. So I know that's been reported. We've noticed a few other things like that.
Yep. That's just some examples and everything. I know I don't always have something to say on camera about it and everything, but rest assured I am doing what I can. I know these guys are too. We don't like bugs any more than the devs do, and the devs surely don't like them, and they want to get stuff fixed as quickly as possible. So if you've got a bug, feel free to let us know. Let me know. We'll pass it on to them. You know, if you've got screenshots and video, that's even better. Let us know what you're seeing, your platform, all that kind of jazz, and we'll see to it that they get it. But, if you've got any requests for the Teacher's Corner, feel free to let her know. She does take requests. Maybe it's you just don't understand where to get this one specific type of item, or you don't understand, you know, maybe a little bit of the re-engineering system, whatever it is, and let her know, and she may just do a video over your thing.
That's right.
And finally, if you have any requests for the RP Corner, feel free to let Artie know. He does take requests, as you guys saw tonight, and everything from a friend of his, and he may just do something over your request. But anyways, folks, that's what we've got for a show this evening. Thanks for joining us once again. And this is the Pilot Review Show, reminding you to have your tribbles spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.